the Three Quarter Slot Podcast. I am your host, Sean Kernahan, and here we break down each week all the happenings across the baseball prospect world from high school to college on through the pros. Let's dive straight into it with the first pitch. The theme I want to talk about this week is going to be the uncertainty after 1-1 in this year's draft. There is obviously a clear cut and has been a clear cut top prospect in this class for quite some time. Brock Cholowsky out of UCLA. Barring something crazy, he is going to be the one that will be selected by the Chicago White Sox. After that, though, there is still a ton of debate and question about who is that number two, who is the top 10, and in what order. And that's going to be what really is fascinating as we get down to it. You know, there's still plenty of debate, plenty of people having differences of opinions. Even here at Three Quarter Slot, as we're finishing up our top 500, I have Jacob Lombard as my number two. I will tell you, chances are Grady Emerson ends up number two based on staff and where we're all at overall. But really, there are a ton of guys here in that consideration. You got Grady Emerson, Jacob Lombard. Von Lackey has become kind of that number two collegiate bat. Him alongside Justin LeBron is Jackson Flora, the number two potential pick is Drew Burris, Von Lackey's teammate. Is he that guy? Carson Bolamon and Gio Rojas, two prep lefties with a ton of upside. And Ace Reese are pretty widely considered that top 10 as we go through that. But what order in which that top 10 is after one has been very much up for debate. And there are a number of different thoughts and opinions across the industry. So it'll be really interesting to see how that all plays out over the next couple of months. Now, there was also some extra news in the college baseball world as outfielder Jake Brown from LSU. He was announced that he has a broken hamate and will be undergoing surgery and will miss the remainder of the year. Jake Brown was a guy who has really come on this season, and his stock was climbing quite a bit. And now, of course, his season comes to an end. LSU has been having a year they'd like to forget overall. And this is just adding to that nightmare there in Baton Rouge. So, again, Jake Brown, unfortunately, out for the year with LSU. Moving forward to the amateur recap, the game I previewed last week, and again, we're going to go ahead and discuss this week, it was a top three showcase. At the time, it was number 2, Georgia Tech, number 3, UNC by many rankings. And while I did focus on the Friday night matchup, but that's one we'll review. North Carolina did take 2 of 3 against Georgia Tech, and have widely moved ahead of them in the rankings. So with that, take a look at what went on that Friday night in Chapel Hill. It really was, from early on, controlled by North Carolina. The Georgia Tech really struggled. They went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. But from the bottom of the first on, the first 2 batters to come to the plate for North Carolina both reached on balls that actually touched the glove of a Georgia Tech defender. The first one was off of Drew Burris on a ball in the gap. The second one, I believe, was off of the third baseman for an error. It was a shortstop for an error. And the Georgia Tech ended up giving up 3 runs in that first inning, including a big home run to Macon Winslow, Oppo home run on a hanging slider that just caught way too much of the plate to give North Carolina that 3-0 lead. Later in the game, Colin Hynek and Eric Paulson each hit solo home runs. And ultimately, Georgia Tech did add a couple to make it a little bit closer with a 5-2 final score. But like I said, North Carolina largely was in control the entire game. On the mound for North Carolina was Jason DeCaro. He was really good. He went 5+ innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and just 1 earned run. This was actually on his 20th birthday. Now, he is a junior who has the third year of really putting in quality innings in the ACC weekend rotation. But again, he's 20 years old. That was his 20th birthday. He is younger than many freshmen, not many, but some freshmen in college baseball that will be draft eligible sophomores this year. There are freshmen in college baseball older than Jason DeCaro, who is a junior with 3 years of experience in the ACC rotation and went out there and pitched really well again. I mentioned in the preview that fastball, even though it was up to 97, does get a little bit a little flat, a little straight, and sometimes not the greatest of pitches. And I think it plays below, excuse me, plays below the pure stuff, the pure velo. But in this game, he was, like I said, up to, let's see here, 96 in this game. His changeup had some good late fade at 82 and slider 82 to 84. On the other side, Georgia Tech, Tate McKee really struggled really struggled in this game. He was not able to establish his fastball. He was incredibly breaking ball heavy. He has numerous shapes to his breaking ball, kind of cutter, slider, curveball, all in that 81 to 89 range. There's not a clear delineation based on velo or shape. It all kind of melds together within there and just adjusts that shape a little bit along the way. He has a really good field of spin. He can manipulate the shape and the spin well, but he left a couple over the plate, both ended up in home runs, and overall he was just really struggling to control the game. He was unable to establish that fastball, and ultimately they came back to bite him. He gave up. So he went 2 1/3, gave up 7 hits, allowed 3 home runs, only a second game with multiple home runs given up this year. He walked 1, struck out 3, and gave up 5 runs, 4 of them. Also on the mound for North Carolina was Caden Glauber. He pitched really well, 3 innings in relief. Gave up 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. He entered the game with runners on second and third, nobody out. Did give up a sacrifice fly, but that was it. Got out of the inning from there. He also, later in the game, ended up with the bases loaded, gave up a run of his own, but got out of that jam, allowing just the 1 run. So really worked his way in and out of jams and had a good performance there. As we talked about, making Winslow with that early home run. Georgia Tech struggling with runners in scoring position, and North Carolina took that game 5-2. Really ran away with the Saturday matchup before Georgia Tech got one back on Sunday. Moving forward, previewing this week, let's go ahead and preview a SEC matchup, big time matchup in Texas A&M against Florida. Friday night will be Shane Sdao against Aiden King. Sdao, I began to apologize for butchering the name. He was a guy who was highly thought of coming into the 2025 draft year, but was injured and on the shelf for the whole year. Ultimately decided to come back to school and try and raise his draft stock. He's done really well pitching the Friday nights for Texas A&M. He takes the mound against Aiden King. The one thing I want to point out with the Florida is, one, they've got just dudes everywhere in that rotation, in that bullpen. But one of the potential top pitcher on the many boards coming into 2026 was Liam Peterson. He has moved off of the Friday night role. Aiden King, a 2027 draft eligible pitcher, has taken over that role. How far will Liam Peterson fall in our draft board in July? What will the fact that he was unable to stick as the ace of his staff, what kind of impact will that have on his value? But Aiden King, obviously, very good pitcher there for Florida, and Florida rolls out future big leaguers left and right. Plenty of good talent there, and they're going to need it. They've got Bear Harrison, Gavin Grohovic, Caden Sorrell, Chris Akopian, Terrence Keel, Nico Partita, Boston Keller. I mean, that Texas A&M lineup is stacked. The Florida bats, you got Brendan Lawson, likely number one in the argument for 1-1 in 2027. Kyle Jones and Ethan Surwick, both will hear their name this year. They've got a deep lineup, not the big-time draft prospects that we're used to seeing from them, but some really good talent anyway, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Florida this weekend. Like I said, the Florida bullpen just got big leaguer after big leaguer coming out of there. That A&M lineup is deep and going to be a really fun matchup to see the pitching, the Gators pitchers against that A&M lineup all throughout the weekend. But the specific game I'm talking about, and I'm going to be reviewing next week, is going to be that Friday night matchup between Shane Sdao and Aiden King. The pro game that I previewed last week, that was Fresno, the Colorado Rockies single A team, against the Ontario Tower Buzzers with the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was a wild game. Unfortunately, Ethan Holliday was ruled out with was a groin injury earlier in the day, but it was still a fun matchup to watch. The ultimately ended up going to extra innings, where Fresno ended up clawing out the win 3-2. There were Emil Morales had a good RBI double. Matt Klein ended up getting with the walk-off single in the 10th. A couple of solo home runs throughout the game as well for in that game as well. And excuse me, JB Middleton was on the mound for Fresno. He went 4 1/3, 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He came out of Southern Miss after really was their ace last year. Really fun, to watch him rise through that Southern Miss bullpen to rotation. He's an undersized, low slot righty, but he attacks. Everything he throws has movement. Probably more of a back end rotation type piece, but really, really fun to watch JB Middleton. Happy to see him having some success there on the pro level. Hyung-Seok Jang was the pitcher for Ontario. He went 5 innings. He gave up the 2 solo home runs to Fresno. Gave him 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. His fastball's been up to 99. Showed really good breaking stuff. He showed quality command in this matchup, and that was big in this outing. That was big to see, because really his long-term concern has been and will be how well he can command the strike zone. He, coming into this game, 82 1/3 innings pitched as a pro, walked 60 batters. So it really is good to see him have a quality matchup where not only he only walked 1, but actually commanded his pitches relatively well. There were still some pitches that really did get away from him. But if he's going to be a future starter, he's got to bring in that command. This was a good start to see that. He did have solid command on the day. I still think he based on the big stuff and all of that, I think he ends up being a bullpen piece, but that was good to see. Ethan Cole had 3 2/3 really quality innings in relief for Colorado. He was a 20th round pick last year. He went 3 2/3, only gave up 2 hits, no runs, struck out 5. It was good to see that out of him. And talk about a name I'm going to absolutely butcher, but let's give it a shot. Myro Shendrick Martinus was really the player of the day, the play of the day, rather, when there was I don't remember if it was a bunt or just a little chopper to the pitcher, but the pitcher threw the ball up and over the first baseman to the right field territory. Martinez from the second base position ran that ball down, slid in, grabbed it, threw the ball backing up a bit. It was one of those that got away, and you're thinking the runner's going to be at third. But Martinez had hustled from the moment the ball was hit and got behind the first base, got the ball up that first base line in foul territory, chucked the ball into first base, and actually backpicked the runner to get the out. A really fun, a really good heads-up play, and it was definitely worth pointing out. Now, let's look at what's going on this week. I know. Last week I said that Seth Hernandez, you've heard me talk about him plenty. He's the easy pickings. He's the must-see TV in minor league baseball. I wanted to pick something other than Seth Hernandez. Well, the free games on MILB TV, not the greatest over the weekend coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and give in and pick the Seth Hernandez start on Friday night. Bradenton against Clearwater, Pittsburgh against Philadelphia, Friday night at 6:30 Eastern. It's going to be a ton of fun. Seth Hernandez has been absolutely lights out this year. He will be on the mound against a solid lineup in Clearwater. Now, a little bit not bummed, but I would have liked to see the opposing pitching matchup be a little bit juicier. It would be Brad Pacheco for Clearwater. He's not on the MLB pipeline top 30 for the Phillies. That said, I mean, there are a ton of really good arms with Clearwater. Gage Wood is there. Kid Obermuller, Cody Bowker, Sean Youngerman, Gabe Craig. Those are guys on that roster who are on the MLB pipeline top 34. Philadelphia, none of them get the start. We might see 1 or 2 of them out of the bullpen. It'll be, but again, we're tuning in for Seth Hernandez and his ridiculous fastball, a changeup that could genuinely get big league hitters out today. I said that when he was in high school, his changeup could get big league hitters out. But Seth Hernandez is that must-watch TV, and he's the one we're watching. And he'll have some quality bats to go against. Griffin Burkholder, a really good bat for Philadelphia. Matthew Ferrara, a Tom's River, I believe it is, a high school product that, a late day 2 last year selection that he's got plenty of talent and upside there. Ilario for Farabus. Meanwhile, Bradenton, Edward Florentino is the top hitting prospect with Bradenton. However, one of the guys that I've really been a fan of since Fresno State is Murph Gray. He's a guy I really do like, I have liked, and think that he was one of those underrated guys coming into the draft. And he's a guy that I think can really make an impact, and we'll see some big league time, and look forward to seeing what he can do in this matchup. Now, moving on to the high school board. The arm I'm going to go ahead and feature. We're actually going to stick in Arizona for both of these high school players. We'll start with the arm, Soren Etheridge. He was named the Prep Baseball Pitcher of the Week this week. He went 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 17 strikeouts in his matchup. He is a right-handed pitcher out of Phoenix Country Day. He lean, projectable frame. He's a 2027 eligible player. His fastball 90-94. Got plenty of carry. He kills spin on his changeup really well, kind of mid to low to mid 80s. The breaking stuff a little bit behind. A lot to see that project a little bit, but he's like I said, lean, projectable, athletic. I'd like to see some better repetition with his delivery, but that's to be expected from one of the projectable high school pitcher. But he's one of the top arms in 2027. For the bat, Elaine Gomez Gudino, catcher out of Saguaro in the greater Phoenix area. If you are not familiar with his story, get familiar with his story. He's a switch hitting catcher out of Venezuela. Walked much of the way from Venezuela to the United States as him and his family immigrated up here. He came to the States, goes to Saguaro High School. The first pitcher he caught in high school was Cam Caminiti, now with the Atlanta Braves system. And this is a guy who he's a switch hitter, got plenty of power. At the Baseball Factory All-American game in Camden Yards. Apologies there. And Camden Yards hit an absolute monster home run. He is a guy who is a ton of fun. He's got a cannon of an arm. He receives well, lifts the ball well. I mean, he got more power from the left side of the plate, but that home run I'm talking about came from the right side of the plate there at Camden Yards. He's a guy, sub 1.9 pop times. He's got lightning quick transfer, a cannon of an arm, and it's an easy plus arm. He is one of the top high school catchers in this class, and a heck of a story as well. Elaine Gomez Gudino is somebody to really watch as we come into the draft. College board, some of the guys that stood out. It's a 2027 podcast, apparently. We talked about a 2027 arm. Now both of the college players are going to be 2027. First one being Smith Bailiey, not to be, called Bailey Smith. It will always throw me off that he's got 2 last names. You've heard plenty of people with 2 first names. He's one with 2 last names. Smith Bailiey out of Arizona, the big righty. He went 6 innings, gave up 1 hit and 15 strikeouts with no runs given up. And somehow, again, 6 innings, no runs in his start against Kansas State this weekend. Arizona got run ruled tonight. It was a bizarre bullpen collapse. They lost 11-1 in an 8th inning run rule. The bullpen pitched just 2 innings with 4 pitchers, and they gave up 11 runs in those 2 innings to ultimately lose that ball game 11-1 via an 8th inning run rule. But Smith Bailiey, he's got a fastball that 91-96, a lower 3/4 slot. His best pitch is probably a slider, but he's got a full pitch mix. Definitely a starter moving forward. Like to see the fastball get a little bit better, but he's got really, really good stuff. My bat for this week, I mean, nobody had a week quite like Tague Davis. Over the weekend at Cal, and side note, Cal, Stanford, ACC, can we please get some better graphics and broadcast ability in these games? It is so bad. They were worse when they were Pac-12 network, so I know that they have improved a little bit. But my goodness, Cal, Stanford, please improve your broadcast quality. That being said, Take Davis over the weekend at Cal, 7 for 12, 5 home runs, 7 RBIs. He's got a 70 grade raw power. He's an aggressive hitter. He's a first baseman only. Uh, Not only he's also pitched and could see some time in the outfield. I think his future's at first base. Again, 7 for 12, 5 home runs, 7 RBI. Tuesday night, I believe he went 2 for 3 with 3 RBI in a midweek game. He is absolutely crushing the ball and probably the top power bat in the 2027 draft class, college or high school. In terms of the guys on the pro side of things who stood out for me, one of the guys I really did like in the draft last year was Miguel Sime. I believe he came out of I started to say that and I'm blanking on the school. My apologies there. But coming out of high school in New York, triple digit fastball. He went ahead and threw 4 innings, no hits, struck out 9, just walked 1. He's got a fastball up to 101. He's got a solid changeup. In the past, he has really struggled with the breaking stuff. Really slow, really low spin breaker. Late in the draft process last year, he really started to show better feel for that, and it has continued. He's showing much better feel for spin. He's getting plenty of swings and misses on both the changeup and the breaking ball. The fastball is huge. He's repeating himself a little bit better. There's still plenty of reliever risk, but the pure stuff is just absolutely fantastic. And Miguel Sime, again, 4 innings, no hits, 9 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Oh, really, really good day there. Or pitch, good outing there. The bat, Bradenton Montgomery, outfielder for the Chicago White Sox system. He went 12 for 20 with 8 extra base hits last week. He, plus power, switch hitter. As with the most, he's got more polished from the left-hand side. That just comes with the fact that you're going to see more right-handed hitters. The right side is good. He's got a double plus arm out in the outfield. He used to be, before he transferred to Texas A&M, he was a closer for Stanford. He was a really good two-way pitcher, or two-way player. He's a middle of the order future for the Chicago White Sox. He's a guy who can hold down right field, athletic in the outfield, and like I said, double plus arm and plenty of power. He had a really good week as well. Now moving on to the closer as we hit the 9th and take a look around what's going on at 3/4 slot. I mentioned earlier, we're putting our final touches on our top 500. That'll be finalized this week and coming out soon. We've got feedbacks from agents and scouts to kind of give us ideas as far as, are we high, low in the ballpark in some of these guys, some early signals on where players lining up. So some industry sources coming in and helping with some of those rankings, or at least giving us, some advice on who to move around a little bit. But ultimately, it's going to be our staff opinion. We are working on final touches of the mock draft simulator. We will have those 500 players ranked. We will have over 800 players available in the simulator. We have the ability to add a custom player if there is a guy you like and you're doing your mock draft, and there's a smaller school guy that you want to see in there, or you just want to have some fun and put yourself in the draft. That is all available to be in that. But again, 500 players will be ranked, over 800 players available, along with the ability to add a custom player if you so desire. This week, we had Jordan's refreshed write-up on Cholowsky, the presumptive number 1 pick in the draft. Jordan has seen him a number of times at UCLA this year, so he put together a write-up there. Sam has seen Peyton Tolle up at Worcester, and we'll be having a write-up on him next week. I will likely be seeing Ethan Wachsmann here in Colorado this week. So Colorado arm in the triple digits. We've got our draft guide progressing. We're working on that. It's going to be 650 fresh reports. That's all on sale now and available to you. But with that, we will call it for a week. This has been the 3/4 Slot Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.